This is now my second video or part 2 to my recommending horror films on Netflix. I also have another Shudder recommendation video coming soon, as well as another Amazon Prime recommendations soon, and I'm really excited for those ones because I've recently watched some really good films and they've also had some really good new releases too. So the first film on this list is a film called Cargo. In an apocalyptic world during a virus outbreak, a father sets off on a journey to find safety for his young daughter away from flesh-eating zombies. This is a really unique and interesting take on a zombie film. We actually don't see that many zombies. It is so much more focused on the father and daughter and their journey. It is an emotional roller coaster, as the father doesn't even know if he will be able to find safety for his daughter. It is definitely a slow burn compared to other zombie films. You can't really compare this film to other zombie films because it is just so different. The acting is absolutely incredible. The portrayal of emotions feels so raw and real. Martin Freeman played the main character of the father. It was really interesting seeing him in this role because I don't think I've seen him in any other horror films. I know he is in another horror film called Ghost Stories, but I am yet to watch that. So if you've seen it and it's good, then let me know. Another main character is a little girl called Fumi. She crosses paths with the father and daughter. She is played by an incredible actor called Simone Landers. She is quite young in this role, but she gives such a beautiful and emotional performance and is such a strong and important character. This film will be quite good if you like The Walking Dead, because as well as having like the zombie element kind of in the background of what's going on, it is much more of a drama journey story where we see lots of different people throughout their travels and seeing how this virus has affected people and changed people. I do have a list of quite a few zombie films that don't fit the typical format for a zombie film, so if you are interested in some more unique and different takes on zombie films, then let me know because I can do a whole video on that. The next film on this list is His House. A refugee couple manage to escape their war-torn country to start a new life in England. They move into a new home in a lower class neighbourhood, but they are just so glad to be out of their previous situation. As the days go by in their new house, they start to see things in the dark and watch their home fall apart in front of them. This is a psychological and supernatural horror film. It feels super creepy and uneasy throughout the whole thing and has some genuinely scary moments. It's a film that has layers as you delve deeper into the couple's past and see what's truly haunting them. There is definitely a tone shift that divides the first half and the second half of this film. The first half holding a lot more horror elements and the second half being more of a drama, explaining more to the viewer and going more into the story, giving us a better understanding and making this more of a complex film rather than just a surface level horror film. His House currently has an impressive 100% critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and I can see why because it is a very well put together story. Next up is a Swedish survival horror film called Red Dot. A man and his pregnant partner travel to Sweden for a hiking trip and to camp out in the wilderness. They do this as an attempt to find the spark back in their relationship again. The trip soon turns sour when they wake up to a red laser dot shining through their tent. They go outside to investigate and realise that it is a laser sight from a gun aimed right at them. The setting and the landscapes in this film are really beautiful and stunning. I always really appreciate horror pieces set in the wilderness with incredible nature settings because it is just such a contrast when something horrific is happening. There are some gory scenes and there is one scene that I did have to fast forward a bit which involves an animal. I don't want to give too much away, but I do like to warn people on things like this because it's not a massive part of the story, and I know a lot of people would just rather skip parts like this. As well as being incredibly tense throughout, there was also a really nice twist at the end, so even if you do find it a little bit slow at first, it's definitely worth sticking around to see how it plays out. There are some plot holes and some poor decisions made by the characters, but overall I would say this is a solid entry to the survival horror subgenre. Next is a film from the late 90s, and that is Urban Legend. In this slasher we follow a group of college students who start to get picked off one by one, but all of their deaths are connected to urban legends. This has so many fun and creative kills which really makes it stand out within the slasher subgenre. It is also a whodunit, so it has that extra element of mystery and it just makes it really fun that you can play along and try to guess who you think is doing this as you watch it. It has one of the most iconic and memorable openings to a film. This is definitely one of my all-time favourite opening scenes in a horror film, as it's just one that's stuck in my head ever since the first time watching it. It truly unlocked a new fear in me. I grew up watching this film. I just remember loving it so much and just watching it over and over again. It does have a great cast that put on some amazing performances. It stars Robert Englund and I just love seeing him in other horror films films that aren't just the A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, because he is just so good in the genre. This is part of a trilogy. It's definitely the best one out of the trilogy, but the second one is quite decent as well. I'm definitely due a rewatch. I've had the whole franchise on DVD ever since I was a teen, but I do fear the third one may have not aged as well as I think it may have. I definitely need to rewatch them and see if they still hold up for me. The next film is The Stepfather. Michael returns home from military school to find out that his mum has a new partner, David, who is also living in their house. David seems like the dream man for his mum and is always there to do anything to help her, but when his mum isn't around, Michael starts to see another side of David and starts to question his intentions. This stars Penn Badgley, who you probably recognise from the series You. He is really great in this film and it's really cool to see him in other horror projects before he starred in You. This is actually a remake of a film from the 80s. It is a very simple premise, but it is really effective, especially because it is something that could happen in real life, and I'm sure a lot of people have worried about their family or friends, new partners, so it's almost like it could be based off of a real true crime story. And I'm sure there are at least a few true crime stories that are very similar to stories like this. It is quite obvious where this film is going, so I can see why some people may find it a bit anticlimactic, but I quite enjoy it as a simple, straightforward family slasher film. The next film is Freaks. A 7-year-old girl, Chloe, lives her life locked inside her house by her dad. She is intrigued but scared of the outside world, but she longs to get an ice cream from an ice cream truck that she sees out of the window. If you like genre-bending films, then this is definitely for you. Without giving too much away, this has elements of psychological, drama, thriller, sci-fi and horror. A massive standout was the impressive acting of the little girl. Performed so well in a role like this at her age shows real talent. It's quite twisty and definitely best gone in not knowing too much if you want some extra little surprises. I don't really see too many people talk about this film, so I definitely think it slipped under the radar for some people. My last recommendation definitely won't be for everyone. Hopefully some people can enjoy it, and that is Something in the Water. A group of friends reunite for a destination wedding. They decide to go on a boat trip for the day before one of them gets married, but they end up getting stranded out at sea when their boat gets a hole in it and starts to slowly sink. This film does start off with a homophobic attack on two of the main characters, so just a warning before you go into this film, as that is quite disturbing to watch. Luckily we do see these two girls later on after the attack and they are doing so much better, but we do really see how it has affected them and affected their lives and how they live now. They ended up splitting up after the attack, and the rest of their friends are trying to get them to chat and potentially get back together, but it was a really hard scene at the beginning of the film and really unexpected for a film like this. I do wish this wasn't in the film because there isn't any warning, so it could definitely be quite heavy and quite triggering for a lot of people. Although this film has some serious topics, it does end up being a very silly, cheesy water creature feature. Some of the decisions from the characters are so stupid and there are quite a few plot holes. I just think, what do you expect when going into a shark film, especially a cheesy looking shark film? Obviously we're not talking Sharknado level, but I do see how this is a film that you could easily get annoyed at if you take it too seriously. But I think if you go in knowing that it is one of these horror films where it's just not too deep for the most part, then you will hopefully enjoy it, as it is really entertaining. It's definitely a situation that could have been avoided. They definitely could have made a lot of different decisions to not lead them to this point, but sometimes you just have to go with it and not question it too much, or you will get annoyed and probably won't enjoy it. It reminds me a lot of shark and water films that I grew up watching in the 2000s. Apart from the first scene, I could definitely see this becoming a comfort watch for me. For the most part, it really just is a popcorn flick that is entertaining. I also think I like this film more than other people because I watched it at the cinema as a double bill, and this was the second film I watched. The first film I watched was The Exorcism, and I really didn't enjoy that. I found it dragged quite a lot. Just for me personally, I don't always enjoy those types of exorcism and religious horror films. I just feel like they've been done quite a few times. This was the one with Russell Crowe, and I had just previously watched another exorcism horror film with him in, The Pope's Exorcist, although I am pretty sure The Exorcism was filmed before that one, but I was just so over watching that film. So going into my second film, where there was just lots of things going on, it didn't use much brain power and it was fast paced, so I definitely think that made me rate it higher than I would have in another situation. So that's the end of this video today. I really hope that you can enjoy some of these recommendations. If you have any recommendations for me of films on Netflix that I haven't mentioned before, then please please let me know because I would love to add more to my watch list. I will be doing another part to this in maybe the next month or two. I'm going to prioritise my Shudder and Prime one first and maybe a Tubi one as well. Also, to let you know, I now have a uploading schedule, so hopefully I will stick to that. I now upload every Monday and Friday around 7:30. As always, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you again in another one soon.